Boo-doop, boop, ba-doop, doop. Well, tonight I figured we'd keep it simple. We're going to keep it simple tonight. I have my little evening martini. We're just going to do a quiet evening of ink and paint. And we are in Krita. I was definitely didn't mean to open up my paint. That was a boo-boo. I considered just doing the shot here in Blender 2.81 for a variety of reasons that I kind of went over on the earlier session today. I decided to just stick with Krita for the moment, but I will say that I am using Krita 5.1.0 pre-alpha, and believe it or not, for my money, it appears to be more stable and consistent and reliable and blah 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 than even versions like 5.0.2. None of the official versions are quite as up to scratch as this version seems to be, so I'm just going to kind of go with it. So in the afternoon session we were doing basically getting the acting figured out. So Mel has, if we go back to the show, where the heck are we in the show? I guess we're towards the end of the webisode. Yep, there it is. So after the sequence that we just did recently, I think I did that shot last night. So now we're into Asher kind of. Hey, Amar. Asher's kind of chewing out Mel, and then this is. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that. Well, there was this girl. Okay, so that's what we're doing. And let's switch back to the Krita screen. So my suspicion is that what's going to happen is the middle ground between Blender and Krita in the immediate term is probably going to be to actually do. I've been doing pencil test and ink in Blender. I think that's going to turn into pencil test and ink and character color paint basically in Blender, and then come over to Krita for what it excels at more, which is painting. Painting. So we'll see. I tested the hotkey setups on Blender 2.81 and it worked really well. So I was able to set up hotkeys in Blender 2.81 so that it operates exactly the way it does in 2.79. So I can be in draw mode and instantly I can hit tab to go into edit mode. If I hit tab twice, it goes into object mode. From edit mode, if I hit the D key, it immediately goes back into draw mode. And if I hit the E key, it goes into sculpting mode. So it's really, really interactive. And in terms of understanding my intention, since I've got two hotkeys that are both assigned to the tab key, kudos to Blender because it understood my intent and it's behaving exactly as I would want it to. So that's a big vote of confidence for later versions of Blender, which for me still remains 2.81. One of the big reasons I like 2.81, actually, other than the interactivity in the timeline, is that for whatever reason the overlay blending mode was removed in 2.9. Not really sure why. But grease pencil layers can't have overlay mode. I don't know about version 3. I could be wrong about, maybe they did get it back in there. I'm not sure. Just don't know. Good evening. Everybody's saying good evening. It is good. So after sessions like earlier today, it's always like it's kind of the morning after effect where you rant about Krita and then kind of feel a little bit bad about how hard I am on poor Krita. What are you gonna do? Well, one thing I'm gonna do is clean up this kind of hokiness right there. Go ahead and bake that outline into the head. Okay, so now, see, this is actually where probably, yeah, see, this is where Blender would excel, frankly, truthfully, is, you know, you put in the ink, right, and now for the next frame, it's really pretty much a, pretty much a sculpting job, you know? You're just moving his neck over a little bit, right? So, yeah, another kind of practical real-world example of why I'm kind of leaning towards Blender. Because we are going to lose a little bit of fidelity in our lines. Not enough to make it, you know, not enough to hurt anything. But they are going to soften up a bit because of using the liquify tool. Of course, you could redraw it, do it the sort of anime way. But by gum, guys, I don't like doing that. I like using my digital tools, as I am doing here. So, the rest of the world can suck it, as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to do it my way. Okay, so here, same situation. Same situation, friends. It's just a shrug, right? Why would we redraw that? We can take 1 second and do the shrug, or we can take 2 minutes and do the not much of a contest. Okay, so then we got a little bit more of a change here. And see, this version of Krita, this pre-alpha version, it's been pretty consistently respecting my arrow keys, so I can hit the right and left arrow and actually just toggle through one frame at a time, that's the way I used to always work in Krita. That seems to be restored in the pre-alpha version. So I'm just going to squish this around a little bit just to give it a little bit of life. This could probably be, we still have the problem where the liquify tool doesn't remember its settings though, which is a little irritating. So I guess, yeah, yeah, see how it, now if you change it here though, it remembers. You silly, silly liquify tool. How I criticize you day in, day out, over and over. Whoa, looks like we got some chat. 8 people. Why are there 8 people here? Why would anyone want to be here tonight? After all the ranting I've been doing about Krita, be like, Dave, you're just like a so completely negative guy. But I'm not lying when I say that as far as this pre-alpha version of Krita, it is an improvement. Look at that. It jumped back to the big size again. So if I was sculpting, see, this is what I'll show you what I'm talking about. If I was doing the same thing in Blender, the way I've got Blender set up now, I would just sketch, right? And if my character wasn't quite right, I just hit the E key and start moving things around, fixing it up, then hit the D key and oop, I'm back to drawing again. You know, it's a total flow. And if there's something really big that needs to be tweaked, I can hit the tab key, control grab, and I probably am not in proportional editing mode, but stretch things around, rotate them, whatever. So I need to actually, what I probably should do is test this. What I'd like to do is change these 2 options so that this is the period key and this is the comma. Because right now the pie menu for comma is orientation. Like, I've never used any of this, like, ever. So if we said median point, I guess we can't. So from a pie menu, so there we learned something. From a pie menu, you cannot set a hotkey. So I would have to find it on the actual menus. Not a big deal. I'll get around to it. But yeah, this ability to toggle between draw, instant sculpting, instant edit mode. If I hit tab again, it goes into object mode. But I can hit D and boop, immediately be right back in draw mode. So basically, I've got Blender 2.8 Plus behaving exactly the way I loved the way it used to work in 2.79. Once I did my homework, figuring out how to get that all set up took like 3 minutes. So, anyway, by the way, guys, good news or bad news, if you go to the Discord, Darren posted this. It looks like, so much for our any hope of ever doing a community Futurama fan show, which you could still do, of course, because I actually think the script I wrote is pretty good. You know, it's a pretty funny episode. But it looks like Hulu has committed to buy 20 episodes of Futurama. So they're having a tough time right now getting John DiMaggio on board to play Bender. But other than that, apparently Futurama is going to be revived for, like, what is it, the 5th time now? I think Futurama has died and been revived like 5 times. It's insanity, but it's great. I love that show. It's a truly fun show. And as far as Matt Groening or Groening, however you want to say it, is concerned, I've definitely always been a much bigger fan of Futurama than I ever was of The Simpsons. Simpsons is not bad. You know, it's not horrible. But I always thought Futurama was by far the better show. I'm sure I'm in the minority in that opinion. Well, it's the same thing with Seth MacFarlane. I don't particularly like Family Guy at all, but I think American Dad is hilarious. Oh, shoot. What's the little alien's name that has the voice of Paul Lynde? I love that guy. He is hilarious. Oh, and I love his voice. Doing the Paul Lynde thing. Oh, he's really funny. You think you're funny, do you? Do you? Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. Roger. His name's Roger. That's what it is. See, when I started doing the voice, the name appeared in my mind. Hey, JP Parks, welcome to this live stream today. I'm scanning through, seeing if there's anything interesting in the chat. What's up, Sod? Oh, JP. The same applies to 3.0. You can set up. Well, I know. Yeah, that's true. Well, what Amar's pointing out is this. This is just for anybody that's going to dink around with Blender. Be aware that any menu that pops up, you can right mouse click on it and immediately assign a shortcut. And believe it or not, unlike Krita, it will actually remember your shortcut and it will respect it. So, like I said, moving over to Blender for certainly, I think the hardest thing to make the jump with would certainly be background painting. Let me check something here. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to put some curves on that and punch up the density a bit. So yeah, for sure, background painting would be a little slower coming. But you know what? Although I will say that I actually messed around with the grease pencil capabilities in Blender 2.81 insofar as adding textures is concerned. And suffice to say, you can do it. The results are not quite what you would expect, so it's not really that useful in my opinion. But A key, I need to get back into liquify mode here, folks. And I just need to take that in line and stretch it north. Okay. So now we got this. Where the heck is his hand? Oh, it's really faint. Hard to see. Okay, right here. Boom. Okay, so now we've got this Let me see how dark this is going to be. Wow, is all that... See, the reason this looks so light, like if we solo this layer, you can see how light it looks. I'm pretty sure that's mostly all from all the liquefying I did. So you start out with these really crisp lines, and over time, yeah, you can see it just gets fuzzier and fuzzier. That's really not a criticism of Krita. I mean, any program that does that type of pixel-based freeform distortion is going to introduce softness in the lines. I think I can fix that, though. Here's how we're going to fix it. Let's go back here where it's probably the worst. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the M key. And what you want to do is you want to do a channel operations where you increase the contrast in the alpha channel. Okay. So we'll see how well it works, but the idea would be to clamp it like this, so that darkens the lines up. And this is really what the cleanup operation, for example, in Tahoma does. I mean, it's the same thing. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. So what you're looking for is crank it up and then tighten up the lines again. So, I mean, that's what a cleanup operation does, basically. So you go back a frame, and now you can hit Control F. That's one of the good things about Krita. You can, I wish, you know, it's kind of weird because actually the filters, see, the thing is the filters remember their settings. Hence, you can hit Control F and it'll repeat the last filter. Very, very useful. I mean, I use that all the time. What doesn't work in that way is the tools. So the filters remember their setting from invocation to invocation, but the use of the tools doesn't. I wish it did, because if it did, as I've said many times, it would make many animation, particularly with the free with the, you know, the free transform tool, it would make animation, it's still a little clunky because you still have to do it one frame at a time, but at least you could do it. So Control F, and now we've got to draw this frame. So I'm going to go GE. Now we're going to do this the old school way where we actually redraw the frames. I wonder if mirroring works again in this pre-alpha version of Krita. We're going to find out here in just a second. I need to not be in erase mode. Okay, so what I'm talking about is all through Krita 4, you could always hit the M key and just flip your canvas. That was broken in Krita 5. So is it still broken? Ah, they fixed it. Okay, so the devs are listening. I don't think they're listening to me, but they're listening to somebody, because there are things, I got to tell you guys, from what I've seen so far, I've been using this a little bit this afternoon and testing some stuff. Let it be said here first that if you go to download Krita, to download the bleeding edge 5.1.0 alpha, as far as I'm concerned, from everything I've seen so far, you will have less frustrations. Now, that assumes you have some experience with Krita, so you don't sort of have, you know, expectations for how it works. But what it just did right there, I hit the M key and it just flipped the canvas. That's what it's supposed to do. That's what it's done for years, you know. Why that got broken in version 5, I was mystified. But I am enthused that it does appear that they're fixing some of the stuff that's more egregious. So that's actually really, really encouraging. They still haven't fixed the, well, I should say, let's find out. I wonder if they fixed the rewind button. That would be awesome. I have to switch to Blender, though, and back to Krita, so because Krita's still doing that little thing where the that hand appears and then doesn't go away. Which, by the way, when that happens, Krita, it becomes unresponsive. So let's go into settings, configure Krita, and let's go to hotkeys, and let's go to first frame. Let's see. Okay, so now it is set. I got rid of it. Now I'm going to click W. Let's see if it works. This would be really cool if it worked. W. No, still doesn't work. So that's still broken. Well, you can't have everything. Rome wasn't built in a day, people. It was not built in a day. So, anyway, rumblings of a new Futurama series or season, whatever you want to call it. That's pretty cool. Can't get enough Futurama. Whoa, Amar is just blitzing the chat. That's what happens with quite a few animated TV shows. Remember when he did his cartoon for the Reader in Chicago back in the day? Who are you talking about there? You talking about McFarlane or you talking about Groening? Posted some cool videos on your Discord. Okay, I'll check it out. There's a young lady who does all her paintings. Well, that I've seen. I commented on that. I'll give you a thumbs up or something. But yeah, that girl, yeah, she's a talented young lady. I think it's great. And she is, she's such a, excuse me. Yeah, sip of my martini. She has such an endearing attitude, that girl. I really like that girl. She's just got a chipper attitude. She's always like, and if you like to do it this way, that's great. And if you don't want to do it, that's okay too. She's like, everything's good. I think that's the girl you're talking about, right? Okay, so here, by the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the selection tool, and then the A key, and boop, just move this up here. Why are we going to redraw this? We're not going to redraw this. That would be silly. Okay, they did change the hotkey, so now you hit Control A to select all, and it's Control D to deselect. Now, to be fair, I have to say this. There's a little hiccup to this that the Krita developers probably didn't notice, which is that functionally speaking, actually they didn't break my hotkey. You know why? Because hitting Control A just selects all, and having everything selected is the same as having nothing selected. Functionally, it's the same. Point being, I can go ahead and paint. So that's very, very good. Let me see here. Okay, we're going to have to tighten up this drawing. Right now I'm being a little sloppy on the anatomy of his hand, and I'm allowing myself to be a little sloppy because this is a one-frame tween, and it's going to go by so fast nobody's going to notice it anyway. However, here we've got to get a little more serious about anatomy. So right there. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit GE. We bring good things to live in. We bring good things to life. Sorry. That's kind of a thing. That's a little game Maria Torres and I are playing right now where whenever I say GE, which is a hotkey combination in Krita, I sing the old 1970s GE jingle that was on all their TV commercials, which I'm pretty sure they advertised during the Wonderful World of Disney on Sunday nights. So I seem to remember that from when I was a kid. Which, oh my gosh, I'm giving away my age. Yeah, get over it, people. I'm an old fart. That's okay. That's okay. Well, it turns out that I am going to have to replace my furnace, which kind of sucks. It's going to be like a $4,000 problem. So it's like, oh man. But, you know what? It's a 20-year-old furnace. It was going to go. It was going to happen. So I'm like, I can have you guys repair the thing that's busted for like $500, or we can just suck it and upgrade the furnace. And I got the guys to agree to, if I go ahead and upgrade the furnace, to bonus me a little bit of free work, frankly, where they're going to run the gas line into the kitchen through the crawl space, which means we're going to be able to upgrade our stove to a gas stove, because right now our electric one, we are definitely more partial to a gas stove situation. So it's been stuff that's been like on the long list forever. And now we're finally saying, you know what, if we're going to have to deal with the furnace, let's just go ahead and suck it up and get some of these other things done. We really need to replace our fridge, too. If the truth be known. Okay, let's get rid of the pencil test and see what we have. Jeez, Ash, I don't know. Well, there was this girl, and not bad, not bad. I'm not loving it. I'm not loving the anatomy around his shoulder there. Let me look at this again. Right there. Look at that. Okay, so this does actually underscore one of the problems with this pre-alpha version of Krita, which is, as far as I've been able to tell so far, the version 5 feature, which does work fine in version 5, which is paste into active frame, appears to not work. So, what do you do about that? Well, let's see if this works. Let's just look at this. I'm seeing the chatter there. Look at his neck. Look at that right there. Like, that's really bad. Like, how amateurish can you be, Dave, right? Yep, it's true. It's true. Shrug. Down he comes. This, well, honestly, why did I change this frame at all? Control-Shift-X. I'm going to get rid of it. That one can change. That's okay. Those are all just short tweens. Okay, I guess that kind of salvaged the situation. Other than the one thing I don't like, but I think I'm going to let it go. Well, right in here. This is basically stupid. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'll hit the B key, go into erase mode, just do this the meticulous way. This really should be more like that. It just looks dumb. Okay, so now here's the problema. Let's select this little region right here that's kind of working. Control C. Now if we go to the next frame, that's okay because that's the shrug. When we go back to here, what I want to do is paste into active layer. So what I'm going to do here is, I think I'll hit delete and see what that does. Okay, that did delete it. So now if I go paste into active layer, what should happen is the strokes that I copied to the clipboard a minute ago should get pasted in, which would make it an easy fix. Last time I checked this, it did not work. See, yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So yes, paste into active layer is badly broken. And in fact, you can see right there when I just what did I hit? Escape. But it created this selection that was over here, and it moved down here. So yeah, there's definitely some bizarre behavior going on there. That's alright. We will let that one go. Let me think about this strategically. Yeah. Step 1. Okay, yeah. Easy fix. Just copy this frame over to here. Really? Took you 10 minutes to think of that, Dave? Okay, so yeah, let's just fix this stupid collar here on these tween frames. I apologize, people. There is no excuse. There's just absolutely no excuse for this. No excuse for being sloppy. I can't believe it. It took me like 2 minutes to think of the idea of just copying the earlier frame. Sometimes, and by the way, this is a stolen quote. I steal this quote from Snoopy. This is from a Peanuts cartoon. It was actually Snoopy who said this. He says, sometimes I'm just smart enough to realize how dumb I am. Look at that. Come on, Dave. Jeez. Just being so careless. Really? Really? That's what you're going to do, huh? Okay. That's probably okay. All right. 7:46. So 3 minutes ago, JP Park said, "How do you like Krita 5?" Well, I've done nothing but complain about it for the last several days. So, what's good in Krita 5 versus what's bad? What's bad is that all of the navigation in the animation timeline, in terms of just clicking somewhere, having the playhead cursor go back to where it's supposed to go to and play from there and things like that. The animation timeline in Krita 5 is, to put it generously, a disaster. It's truly a disaster. It's an ergonomic nightmare. But you can still get work done. Clearly, I'm doing it. So that's bad. What else is bad? I'll get to the good here in half a second, because there's a lot of good too. Hotkeys. A lot of hotkeys that worked fine for years. Like, for example, the rewind button, which I have mapped to W because it's the same as it is in Sony Vegas and the same as it is in Reaper. There is almost literally no way to just rewind. Well, actually, it turns out if you hit Shift Spacebar, kind of works. If you're stopped somewhere else and it plays, then Shift Spacebar goes back to the wherever it started, but if you hit it twice, it goes back to the beginning. So functionally, there kind of is a rewind button. But yeah, that's a disaster. Paste into active layer in Krita 5 is great. Transform masks, the ability to do keyframe animation, I would call a mixed bag. If you're doing stuff that's simple, it's wonderful. If you're doing something that is beyond the most trivial animation operations, it's basically unwieldy, and certainly editing the animation curves is, pretty comically bad, really, actually. But, on balance, the other thing that's good in Krita 5, frankly, is the pixel buffer issues. Used to be that when we'd merge layers or flatten a layer, you'd wind up with entire boxes of pixel area that just disappeared and stuff. I mean, really, really wacky stuff that happened. They finally fixed that. So, for most people out there, would I recommend if you're going to go into Krita to jump into version 5? I would say definitely yes. However, my caveat would be that right now I'm running the bleeding edge 5.1 pre-alpha, and I am finding this, other than the thing you guys just saw, where paste into active layer is badly broken. Okay. Other than that, it's been a marked improvement over Krita 5 and 5.0.2. So every official version of Krita 5 is, for my money, immediately, obviously worse than this pre-alpha version of Krita 5.1. And the good news is, as I said earlier, they do seem to be paying attention to the things that people are bitching about, and getting some things fixed. So that's been encouraging to see. I gotta make sure I don't have any leaks here. Do I have any leaks? There's gonna be a leak right there. I'm glad I checked. There we go. Let's just keep scanning through here. I'm just eyeballing it. Okay, I think we're okay. So let's go ahead and add a paint layer. Generally, I have been keeping all the color on the same layer. That's kind of a judgment call. Pick your poison. Oops, stop. Okay, stop everything. Ah, I see what happened. Okay, so this is a Krita-ism that I personally have a hard time accepting would be proper behavior, but it does behave somewhat consistently. So what just happened was, we have the paint layer selected that I was going to put the color in. Here in the timeline, you see that we still have the paint layer selected. However, the actual cell that's selected is in the Mel layer. So when I hit the delete key, I accidentally deleted Mel's head. Now, the reason I kind of object to that is that the behavior in terms of whether it respects changes of layer like this or changes of layer like this, without getting into all the nuance of it, the behavior is rather inconsistent. So for me, it's a little annoying, but what I was trying to do is just add an animation keyframe right there. So I need to hit the fill tool. Hello? Okay. Okay, so that's a shock. Didn't bump into that yet. The F key mapped to the fill tool is broken. I can live with that if we're able to fix it. So let's find out. Fill tool. Fill tool. Shift G? Who ever heard of Shift G for a fill tool? That's stupid. Real men use F for a fill tool. Let's see if it worked. It did. Good. Awesome. Thank you, Krita. Thank you, Krita. I take back everything I said. Well, no, not really. Okay, so now what I'm going to have to do is go through and double check this connection between his head and neck for leaks. Seeing a bit of corruption there. Yes, there is a bit of corruption. A bit of corruption indeed. This little gap here I don't really care about. That's not really a problem. But we do need to check for right there. Holy cow. Boom. There's a bad leak. I'm in erase mode. You cannot be in erase mode and expect to do anything except erase. And by the way, guys, you know what? I've just committed the cardinal sin. I did it. I just committed the cardinal sin. All of those fixes I just did, I put them in the wrong layer. I committed the cardinal sin. I was not in the ink layer. So, well, doggone it. What are you going to do? I'm going to turn off the paint layer so that I can see if my fixes occurred or not. Yeah, right there. No, they didn't. I am a fool. I am a fool. My goodness. That's a little embarrassing because it really is the cardinal sin in Krita. Is to go work it away and then realize you're actually operating in the wrong layer. I've done it a billion times. A billion, I say. Little distortion there, huh? Let's see what actually happens on that. Yeah, that's an eye blink. That's not really acceptable. We need to just get rid of that key. Yikes. Alright, we're back into looking for leaks. Okay. I think we're okay. Now, paint layer. Let's just stick with the skin, people. Stick with the skin. That's what we're gonna do. Up. That might be the wrong color. That might be the wrong color. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, this is the shrug. So insert. Oh no, we've got a leak. Darn it. That leak snuck by me. Okay, so this is the key, friends. Switch to the ink layer before you fix your leaks. Right? Am I right? Okay, what do we have here? Why is there another keyframe? This keyframe is erroneous. No leak there. Okay, I think we're back on track. Fill tool. Oh, come on. Well, I guess we can safely call that a bug. Index colors or any kind of frame range filling. Not really. That's not a simple question to answer, because the thing about Krita is you can do things like take a layer and have it decompose. I'm not going to get into how to do it because frankly it's something I pretty much never do, but I mean, explore the program on your own for sure. If you look at things like wavelet decompose, image split, I think it might be. You know, there's functionality that allows you to take, like I could do all my painting on a single layer, and then if it turns out I really needed to have it in separate layers, it's actually not that hard to, and Krita does a pretty good job, honestly, of breaking it up into individual layers. So that's one of the good things about Krita. You can keep everything flat until you find out that you probably regret it, and then at that point, just you know, decompose it, if you will, into separate layers again. Not a big deal. Insert, oops, I guess we gotta color everything if we're gonna do that. Yep. Insert, click, 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 click. Insert, click, click, click. Cool. We got our color in there. Okay, so now we got to deal with his garment and his, I guess the bands are going to be the same color as the headband. So for that reason, which by the way, tragedy of tragedies, I just realized, oh my gosh, I just realized we've got a shot here in the show. This shot was done like ages ago, okay? He doesn't have his arm. The armbands are missing. Oh my gosh. How do you suck any worse than I do, people? This is what I don't understand. Why does anyone come here and watch me? I mean, come on. It's like, really, dude? How do you get to be that bad at your job? Okay. I tell you what I'm going to do, actually. Let me go back here. Oh, yeah. So there we go. I can steal that color. Make sure that worked. Click. Okay, cool. So that's the legacy. The legacy Mel that we're getting rid of. Can't believe it. It's like a pretty cool shot, too, and I left his stupid armbands off. So that means I need to open that up. Now, that will be... Fixing that's going to take, like, probably 10 minutes. Not a big deal. But it is still slightly inexcusable. So now this is the part where somebody posts something in the chat that says, "Don't you use a color model?" Yeah, on a good day I use a color model. Do you use a color model? Show me your amazing animation with your amazing color model. And then criticize me for not using a color model. I am feeling a little snarky. Well, it's Krita's fault. Krita put me in a bad humor today. Now, I thought I saw... Oh, yeah, I did. Right there. His head. Okay, I see what the problem is. Okay, that's easy enough to fix. Let's just blow in here. And I suppose we could just do it this way. Actually, I'm going to hit the G key. And just... And then the G key again. Just get that. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, people. Why am I seeing... Okay, we better save our work. Why am I seeing the checkerboard pattern through his hand? As if that was filled with a semi-transparent color. That's a little creepy, people. That's a little creepy, but this is the risk you run when you use pre-alpha software. There we go. It's definitely an occupational hazard. Okay, so now we've got Mel and his body kind of married together here for the most part. Let's see how the acting looks. In fact, you know what? Let's put the background back in there and just render the darn thing. Let's go ahead and look at it in the show. Then we got to add shadows, and he's going to need lip sync. Frame range filling. Okay, yeah. Now, if you want frame range filling, that's what OpenTunes is for. Sorry guys, I'm eating my olives now. Okay, let's jump over the show. See? That shot's going to look good. I think that shot is going to look G-O-D. I mean G-O-O-D. I mean G-U-D. Okay, so I just went to spy on AMB's channel. He toots his own horn. Yeah, he does. He toots his own horn as well as anybody, that's for sure. And I was so correct. He's calling anime art for fools. He's calling anime art for fools. Well, that's because he can't do it. You have to look below the surface, JP. You have to look below the surface, see what's really going on. He criticizes that which he cannot do. With the exception, I suppose, of Disney-style animation, which he also cannot do. Am I being snarky tonight? No, AMB, I like AMB animation. I actually do. The fact that he banned me from his channel doesn't really bother me. I mean, I think he's a sincere guy. I like the fact that he's really passionate about what he's passionate about. I think that's cool. And I actually think it shows a lot of courage in a way, in the fact that he's basically if you don't play his way in his sandbox, he'll kick you out of the sandbox. But I don't see that as a bad thing. Seriously, I'm not being sarcastic or snarky or anything. I think that is good business. That's him saying, this is what I'm about, and if you're not interested in that, then you don't need to be here. And I respect that. But if you're curious as to why I got banned from his channel, I will tell the story, because I think it is very telling about the fact that the guy does have a little bit of an ego issue. But I will. I won't tell the story of how I got banned unless you want to know. And if you want to know, say so in the chat. I'll tell you. I'll tell you why I got banned from AMB Animation's channel. It's amazing how little it took to get myself banned, actually. The short story is I criticized his work. I pointed out something in an animation that really wasn't up to scratch. And he just went off on me, man. I mean, he really went off on me. It was pretty funny. In fact, I probably could find the live stream. I mean, I don't remember when it had. It's been a long time ago, so I mean, if I really tried, I could probably find the live stream, and it's probably still up there. Do tell. Okay, well, in a nutshell, you're probably familiar with the animation of him doing his martial arts work where he's fighting his rabbit. Okay, you're familiar with that animation? So I'll wait for you to respond in the chat to confirm or deny that you're familiar with AMB animation fighting his rabbit. It's like a martial arts thing. Okay, you're familiar. Okay. So when I went to AMB's channel, so this would have been probably a couple years ago. When I went to his channel, he had just done that animation. Okay. So there's number one, he had just done it. I think he was pretty proud of it. You know, it's a bit of work for sure. And I went to his channel with absolutely no knowledge of him at all. I didn't know anything. You know, didn't really know what he was about or blah, blah, blah. So I go to the channel, and he's talking about, because the rabbit thing was kind of new, he was talking about it. and, you know, he's talking about it the way he talks about things, basically from the vantage point that he's the authority. Well, I'm okay with that. In a lot of things, he is an authority. You know, he's really, you know, he's pretty good at a lot of things. I mean, remember though, just to really to have a balanced view of AMB animation, you got to remember one thing. The guy's a storyboard artist, okay? He's not a guy that ever made a living doing animation. He did storyboards, and he's got some good credits for doing storyboard work. But that's what he actually has earned the right to be paid for in the real world. That and the courses that he teaches here on YouTube. He hasn't made his way as an animator. So anyway, so I get the fact that he's passionate about Disney animation, and he's kind of out there, and he's kind of excited and proud of his rabbit thing. Well, I, as a newbie to the channel, I said, well, did you notice that the feet are sliding? Okay. I literally just posted it in the chat because I figured this is something he's going to correct, probably, right? Because it's true. If you looked at the animation, the feet were not locked to the ground, which is a pretty big... I mean, if you're going to say this is how to composite, you know, old school 2D animation with live action, if there's one thing you darn well better get right, it's locking everybody's feet to the floor so that they're not sliding around, because otherwise the whole illusion of marrying the live action to the cartoon is lost. So it's a big deal. It's not a small thing. So I don't remember, I didn't make a nasty comment or anything. I was just like, you know, did you notice the feet are sliding around? I mean, are you going to like fix that or what? And oh my gosh, he went into a furious rant saying how you get these newbies that don't know anything and have never done anything that want 5 minutes of fame by posting something critical, trying to draw attention to themselves. I mean, he just went bananas. And I'm like, oh my God, I guess I struck a nerve here. And he rants for like 4 or 5 minutes about it. All about the fact that people like me come here and they just want to act like they're something when they're nothing. And, you know, when he did that, here's the part about it that was a little, you know, left me a bit dismayed, was that I didn't realize he had banned me from the channel. So what he did was he went into this rant, and my attitude was, I'm going to take my medicine. Okay, you know, I get that I struck a nerve. It's not a big deal. I'm kind of sorry. And I'm sitting here, and believe me, I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking, dude, you talk like, you know, what I actually thought in my mind was, I've written and directed a movie that made $1 million. I'll bet you haven't done that, pal. You know, I'm thinking I've got commercial clients around the globe. You know, I've done a few things in my life. I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, oh my God, you so totally have no idea what you're talking about. But I'm like, but I get the fact that I sort of offended you because I pointed out the one flaw in your little rabbit animation that you're so proud of. So I get it that you're upset. And I just decided I'd take my medicine, and I didn't try to argue with him about it, okay? But what's sad about that is that the ego aspect of it is quite sad, because he really did make a ton of assumptions about who I was and what my intention was. And literally my intention was exactly what can be proven I actually did, which was I just pointed out a flaw in the animation that was a very, very obvious flaw. And I've heard from, and I didn't realize that this was something he does all the time. I only found out later when it first came up here, probably a year ago or something in the chat, that's like normal behavior for this guy, you know. So, and that's, you know, it's his YouTube channel. It's his prerogative if he wants to, you know, act like an ass. But, and I mean that in the nicest way. I mean, I'm actually not being snarky. It is his channel. If he wants to act any way he wants to, that's his prerogative, and I don't begrudge him that. If I was gonna, actually, you know what we need to do here? Hang on, let's do this. First of all, before we go any further, same as shadow. This needs to be duplicated. That's another thing here in the pre-alpha version of Krita. There's stuff in version 5 where what I just tried to do, where I grabbed one frame and just copied it over to here, won't work properly in Krita. Like, it'll assume you want to grab the whole column, things like that. There's really some pretty stupid stuff in Krita 5 that does appear to be getting fixed. So I would gather that the Krita guys and girls, you know, understand that those are errors in the program. You know, they're not creative choices exactly. Because they seem to be fixing them, so I'm really glad to see that. So, anyway, A&B Animation is and he's a sincere guy trying to go do a cool thing. And frankly, let's be honest, he's probably helped a lot of people. You know, when it comes to just traditional 2D animation, he has probably helped, you know, a lot more people than I have. You know, to learn good stuff about, you know, a sort of a dying craft, you know. So I think that's a cool thing. But I am curious if he ever fixed the tracking problem with the rabbit, because it was pretty stuck out like a sore thumb to me. Yeah. Insert. Oops, I want the G key. But when I say that he hasn't really made his way doing animation, it's like for example, if you look at the job he did when he did I think it was a takeoff. It looked like Roger from 101 Dalmatians, and he just did an amazing job of animating that character in the Disney style. I don't know if he was copying some Disney shot or something, because maybe he was. I don't know. I assume he was not, that he was just working in that style. And he did a smoking job. Looked really good. He's quite good at that. So again, copying that style, which I can respect that because I'm a pretty good copycat myself. And But if you look at the rabbit in that rabbit martial arts animation, and you see what this guy's skill level is as a, you know, just in drawing and as a character designer, he's very much just okay. You know, he's not bad, but he's not exactly good either, right? That would be my assessment. For better or worse. So hence he never made his living designing characters or doing animation. His forte was storyboarding. You know, yeah, somebody's got to do it, right? Let's hit the E key. Gee, I wonder if he'd remember me. Do. Yeah, my whole approach to animation is very different. I like that style. I like full 2D animation, but I actually do feel somewhat harshly, but I suppose pragmatically, that it's mostly a dead thing. At least, I should say, it's a dead thing the way Disney did it. There's ways to do 2D animation today that has a similar aesthetic, particularly to shows in the Disney space that really capitalized on the three-quarter view. So I would put, even though I hate the movie, I love the animation and I love the character designs in The Emperor's New Groove. I think it's a terrible movie as a story. And of course, I may be overreacting to that because I absolutely have never been a David Spade fan at all. Never thought anything he ever did was funny. Nothing. Never understood what the attraction was for that guy. But the character design and animation in Emperor's New Groove was really good, I think. And my point about that is that what they did, if you really go back and look at those character designs and whatnot, what they did really lends itself well to a digital approach, where you really are doing like I do here, where you're using digital tools to just sort of get a bunch of animation keyframes out of a single drawing, that type of thing. That approach can be taken to quite an extreme, and I think it's a highly appealing. I mean, I think it's a really appealing approach to animation, and it's way economical compared to the old school Disney approach. So, I mean, to each his own. So I'm definitely not a traditionalist as an animator. I think if you look at what's going on television, like Warner Brothers television type animation, I think that is pretty amazing too. I don't find it entertaining because I don't really like the writing. It's too frenetic for me, pretty much. But as far as the animation and the quality of the imagery, the characters and stuff, I think it's really good. And I like the kind of the middle ground with that would be shows like The Dragon Prince, I suppose, on Netflix, which of course I'm a fan of Aaron Ehasz, so anything Aaron does I'm gonna like, even if I don't like it, I'm gonna like it. It's like Joss Whedon the same way. I'm actually not a fan of a lot of stuff Joss Whedon has done, but I totally get that the guy's kind of a clever writer, and he just kind of comes from an interesting vantage point that I like some of the work he's done. I liked Firefly. Let's just insert a blank keyframe and go from there, shall we? So I'm sure you guys find this all very interesting. Aaron's great. Yeah, Aaron Hirsch. His style looks exactly like Don Bluth and not Disney. I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, if Don Bluth's a strange. Don Bluth's a bit of a mixed bag, and I have to be careful, I guess, because there's a Facebook group that I'm part of, that the guy that created the group and runs the group is actually the VP of Don Bluth's studio. So he's only a phone call away from Don Bluth, but. I have a little bit of a problem with Don Bluth as a businessman, just because I find the amount of money he raised for the crowdfund of the Dragon's Lair, reboot as a movie, and so many fans have been so disappointed by that. I mean, he raises $750,000, and 7 years later. There's nothing. I mean, it isn't even a trailer. It isn't even like a 3-minute teaser, because and that is, arguably, that is all they crowdfunded. All they were crowdfunding was creating a teaser to try to pitch the Dragon's Lair movie concept to the money people, so he could then get the money to create a show. Well, $750,000 for that, and then to have absolutely nothing to show for it, 7 years later, personally, I kind of have a problem with that. It's like, where did the money go, dude? How do you piss away $750,000? I don't get that. I make a feature film. I make a 90-minute feature film. I bring in Sean Young from Hollywood, Sean Young from Blade Runner, She was in Blade Runner. She was in Ace Ventura. I bring her in. Okay? You know, I write several scenes for her. I pay her for the day. She was great to work with, by the way. So all the stories you've heard about Sean Young being like a Hollywood bad girl and difficult to work with, it's all BS. None of it's true. Anyway. But I mean, I make the whole movie, write it, direct it, had a large role, edited it, wrote all the music, did the whole thing, the entire movie. That entire movie, including paying Sean Young first class airfare to Fort Wayne, Indiana, the entire movie cost me $8,000 to make. I'm not joking. That's literally the entire budget for everything. The only thing that I paid for was the actors, and all the budget was paid to the actors. I didn't pay for anything else. You didn't pay for locations. You don't have to pay for locations to make a movie. Anybody who thinks you have to pay for locations is being stupid. People love to have you shoot a movie scene in their restaurant or, you know, whatever it is. So I can make a 90-minute movie that you can watch right now if you want, right here on YouTube, on the Encourage TV YouTube channel. It's got, how many views does it have? 500,000, I think. That costs $8,000, but Don Bluth can't even make a 3-minute animated trailer for $750,000. Now, explain this to me, people. I don't get that. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, how the hell do you burn away $750,000 on nothing? You know? It baffles me. But the other thing about Don, and you know, maybe there is a good explanation. Okay, I'll give him that. Maybe there's some reasonable explanation for that. Okay, so we'll go with that. But the other question I have is, how do you get? See, I'm just really curious how much of it was Don and how much it was really other people. Because if you look at it, Secret of Nim is one really good-looking movie. And if you don't know where you can watch that, I know you can watch it for free right now on Tubi, Tubi. I think it's .tv. It might be .com, but you know, just look up Tubi, you'll find it. But it's free because it's ad-supported. Secret of Nim is a great-looking movie, but then you compare. I know that Don, you know, attributes it to low budgets. But if you look at like the Land Before Time stuff, it isn't just the more limited animation that's going on there. You see it in the design of the characters too. Just the way things are drawn and stuff is not, it's not the same standard as Secret of Nim. In fact, the sequel, which is on Tubi as well, of Secret of Nim, is the same way. It's a little bit like, how do you go from this to that? I'm not quite sure. Now, I mean, I should talk. I mean, there's obviously inconsistencies in this show I'm creating, and you know, so who am I to talk? But I do find it a little bit baffling. Baffling, that's my word for today. I find things baffling. And when things are baffling, I just simply don't know what to do. And when I don't know what to do, I resort to making voices. So I'm going to do voices right now. And hopefully no one will object. And in fact, maybe you'll find my channel somewhat more entertaining if I use some of my more entertaining voices. Yeah, well, that's what I do. I make voices. He's doing a Naruto action scene? But wait a minute. Why would he say that anime is whatever he said about anime that's kind of negative if he's doing it? That's kind of weird. Actually kind of fun. I'm going to look at your comments here because I haven't really been looking at the comments. I've been pretty good artist. Yeah, he's pretty good artist. Yep. A and B. Aaron and 1-in-1 Animation. I like their tutorials and animation more. Okay. Oh, Aaron Blaze. Yeah, I mean, Aaron Blaze, he's obviously a talented Yes, he's a much more skilled artist and animator than AMB. I don't think anybody's going to take you to task on that assertion, Amar. I'm pretty sure everybody's going to... Aaron Blaze's sessions, Aaron's finding a good balance right now. You know, I'll be honest with you. You know, this is why I've always struggled with the whole, you know, do you do the Patreon thing? Do you do GoFundMe? You know, can you really survive without that support? You know, are you going to make up some story that says, well, I can't really even start and create my show if I don't get this money? Which for me, that would be a lie. I mean, I just can't. You know, the truth is, I can't really justify working on it full time. And if I got the support, I could justify working on it full time and direct attention away from my commercial media business. But you know, the thing is, look, I guess peripheral to what I'm even saying right now, the thing you're seeing all over Facebook, it's like the guy that has an investment course where he's you know, for a short time it's only $7, and it's like, it's a course to make money in the markets. Okay, well, I know about trying to make money in the markets. It's very, very challenging for reasons I won't get into. There's things about it that it can be lucrative to a degree, but it's also quite challenging. And I see a well, he did shrug his shoulders, so I guess we might be okay. But this right here needs to probably be changed to this. Boom. Boom. I guess we'll just edit this. My point is, everybody and his uncle these days is selling a course. That's my point. Everybody's selling courses. And I gotta believe a lot of them are probably pretty good content. I mean, if you sit and go through the course and do the exercises and blah, 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 you probably can learn a lot, you know? But at the same time, I have no illusions about the fact that, for the most part, the reality is, and the reason why you're seeing these courses, especially in topics like this, like animation, is because the people that are doing the courses cannot freaking make a living doing animation. It isn't because they suck, although some do. It isn't because they suck. It's because what they're passionate about is something that nobody's paying for anymore. They're just not. You know, it's like, get over it. That's the way it goes. Oops, I shouldn't have put that keyframe in there. I needed to be there. And you know, the world's changing. So people that are really purists about, you know, like AMB, I think to some degree, about sort of the old school way of doing things, they're really pissing in the wind. You know, they're trying to be about something that basically people aren't paying for anymore because it's just too expensive to do. Now, I don't actually, at the end of the day, do I really believe that it actually is too expensive to do? No, I don't. I actually think usually there's a way you can get the job done, you know, economically if you are, you know, make some reasonable concessions. So that's pretty much what I try to do. You know, why am I working at 8 frames per second? Well, part of it's the aesthetic of it. I actually like the way 8 frame per second animation feels. The whole snap and pop thing is kind of cool. Little tween and then boop, you know, like that. Could it also be argued, though, that this would look better at 12? Let's find out. Probably would. Let's find out. How does this look? Look at that. It looks great at 12. So at 12 frames per second, if you just made the breaks in between the animated sequences bigger, this would play just fine at 12 frames per second. So there it is. So part of it is the economics of just having to make less drawings, but basically you sort of adapt your approach to the technology as well in order to have it just not take so darn much time, you know, that it's unrealistic. Aaron doesn't toot his own horn. Yep, I agree with that. Well, what got me going on this particular path that I'm on right now verbally here is what I was saying was that Aaron is in the process right now of finding his sweet spot, okay, in terms of the educational materials he's providing. And I think he's doing his best. He's doing his best to figure out, okay, what can I give away here that gets people kind of committed to my brand and my the value I bring to the table, and then what do I go ahead and charge for? And like I said, I think Aaron's doing a pretty good job of finding the balance in that, actually. I would recommend Aaron Blaze to anyone who wants to learn stuff in animation. Aaron doesn't toot his horn. He's been animating for 35 years. Yep. Oh yeah, for sure it would be him over AMB. Of course, having said that, I haven't gone through AMB's course. Who knows? Maybe I'd learn something. You know? Bluth is used to big budgets. That sums it up really well. So AMB is doing a Naruto anime action scene. That's kind of weird. It looks so non-anime. I'll bet it does. I'll bet it does. It's probably, yeah, I can imagine what that looks like. Just to prove it's easy, Aaron's tutorials are almost free. Yeah, right. I have a whole collection of Aaron Blaze's tutorials, which I got a discount. Yeah, well worth. Yeah, Aaron's a great guy. You know, he's a great guy, and I don't blame him for kind of doing what he's doing either. I mean, you know, I'm a lucky guy in the sense that I've been working for myself for over 30 years, and you know, I think after going through what he went through, which was probably largely a positive experience, you know, working for Disney and stuff, to want to just run your own game, and you're, you know, maybe you're making more money or maybe you're making less, I don't know, but I certainly don't blame him for wanting to just run his own show and do his own thing. I think it's, I mean, I can say from experience that it's wonderful to be able to do that. You know, you have to earn it. You know, it took me a couple years being in business before I could, you know, you have to, when you start and you're kind of worrying about whether you can pay your bills, right? Blah, blah, blah. So, okay, we're getting along here. We're getting along. This is looking all right. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to do that. Let me go ahead and render this into the show, and then I'm starting to run out of gas. I think I'm probably going to wrap it up. I'm going to go over to AMB. I want to look at this. I'm going to turn off the audio on the channel. Not the microphone, but the other. Because I really want to see this. You guys have got me curious. AMB Animation Academy. I've got to see this Naruto thing. AMB Animation. Animation fight. Oh, he's live now with it. Oh, good. Okay, this is dangerous behavior, actually doing this, you know, like we're gonna make enemies here on YouTube, but I'm not gonna turn on the audio. But yeah, I mean, the basic criticism would be that right there, just the first drawing I came to, that does not look like Naruto. The drawing is not even close. Okay, enough of that. I'm being mean. I shouldn't do this. Oh my gosh, and he's using deformation animation. He's been watching my channel. That's what's going on here. He's been watching my channel and saying, you know what? Dave wouldn't redraw the arm. Dave would just grab a hold of it with his selection tool and just, you know, move it around or use Liquify. I'll bet you that's what's going on. What AMB is trying to do is he's trying to show you guys, if you follow Dave's methodologies, this is how bad it will suck. That's what he's doing. He's trying to get you guys to not like me. That's what's going on here. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. If you really want something Naruto oriented, you guys can look on my channel, because back in the day, I gotta find it here, time lapses and speed paints. Where is it? Popular uploads. No. I'm on my other screen here for half a second, but if you search my channel, for Naruto. Here you go. Here you go. This is what you want. This 2D animation how-to teaches you how to draw Naruto. I did this quite a long time ago, and it looks like I did it in Krita. I mean, it's not perfect, but it does look like Naruto at least. A and B, your Naruto does not look like Naruto. And as we all know here from plenty of experience making the mistakes, if you're off character, you got to redo the darn thing. So, anyway, I think with that, grease pencil? I don't think it was grease pencil. It wasn't. When I did Naruto, it wasn't. I think I did grease pencil. I did the Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame. Was done with the GP. Well, I'm not banned from looking at his channel, Jim. I just can't. I can't. If I try to put a comment in his chat, it just won't show up. It will. I'm banned from. I can't interact with the community or whatever, right? So, anyway, all right, guys. It's been almost an hour and a half, so I don't really feel like doing the lip sync tonight, and I'm a little pooped. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. But it's been fun gently picking on A and B animation. It's always fun to pick on A and B a little bit. Because, well, something to do. But anyway, if there are no other pressing questions, then I guess I'll probably call it a night. And maybe I'll make some more clever voices in order to entertain myself as I go into the late wee hours of the night. He picks up on everything else. He picks. See you, man. He picks on. I guess you meant to say he picks on everyone else, and he does. So anyway, that's it. I'm gonna go. I'll do more tomorrow. As you guys know, there will be more later. And thanks for coming. And until next time.